We are back with part 2 of basil custard sauce, and hopefully part 2 does not have an echo. I'm hoping. Okay, now we're just gonna give it a couple of seconds for the people that were with us to find our part 2, and we are going to continue with the basil custard sauce. Now all we have in the pan so far is half a cup of cream and half a cup of water. Cream and water. That's it. Okay, now to this cream and water, we are going to add 42 grams of, now I'm using allulose this morning. And I'll tell you why I'm using allulose. So allulose, first of all, I'm using it because I can. I'm very excited that I have it in my kitchen. And I know that might not excite a lot of people, but I was doing a happy dance because I couldn't get it in Canada for a long time. Oh, no echo now. Yay. Okay, so we have half a cup of water, half a cup of whipping cream, and the whipping cream that I have is 35% milk fat. And to that we are adding 42 grams of allulose. Now this is not something that you likely want to add erythritol to. Now I haven't tried it, but erythritol has a tendency to get crystally as it cools, and I don't want any crystals in my basil custard sauce. So I'm using allulose, or you could also use xylitol or stevia. But if you're using stevia, make sure that it's not a stevia erythritol blend, because that will crystallize as well. Okay, so 42 grams of allulose or xylitol, and we are just going to put this on the stove. Let me get this out of our way. We don't need that just yet. And we're going to turn the burner on low. Now I want this on low because this has cream in it. You don't want to boil cream or milk unless you want it to curdle. So I'm just actually going to put that on 1. Now while we're waiting for that to happen, oh, we need to add 2 more little things. So I'm going to add just a wee pinch of salt. Now you can make this as salty as you like. Some people like sweet and salty together. Salted caramel, I love. And then I'm going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. I know there's nothing basil about this yet, but hang tight, there will be. And there we go. Now I'm using the regular vanilla because the basil, hi Del, the basil is going to give this such a beautiful flavor, and it's going to color it a bit as well. So it's okay if this changes the color of the cream and water mixture a little bit. Okay, so a pinch of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla, and we're just going to let that heat. And while that's heating, I'm going to bring my little bowl of egg whites over. And what we need for this custard is 2 egg yolks. Just the yolks. Now, my eggs and yours come with a built-in egg separator. If you want to use an egg separator, you can. I just use the one that comes built in. I figure I'm paying for it, I might as well use it. Okay, so there is 1 egg yolk. And we need 1 more. Make sure that these are pasteurized and room temperature. Well, pasteurized, I guess. We're going to be cooking this down, so that part doesn't matter. When you're making mayonnaise or meringue or anything that isn't going to be cooked thoroughly. So if you were using these whites for something else afterwards that wasn't going to be thoroughly cooked, it's important to have your eggs pasteurized. So just sit them in 140 Fahrenheit water for about 5 minutes. It's not going to cook them, but it is going to make sure that they're safe, and you don't want to take chances with your eggs. It's not worth it. I have seen people with you know, salmonella poisoning. I'm going to give this a stir because we want that heating slowly. Now this we're going to beat these up until these, I know there isn't very much in this bowl, but we're going to beat this up until these start turning a nice light yellow. And I'm going to turn this pot handle away. That's the last thing we need, is to have that all over the floor. Okay, now, as you beat this, the color of the egg yolks are going to change. And we're just going to, I'm going to turn this up just a bit because we're almost ready for it. Okay. Now, I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but this is starting to change color. And you can do this by hand, or you can do it with a mixer or whatever you want. Okay, I think that's about good. Now, we're going to bring this up just a little bit higher. We want to get this just to a boil, just barely starting to boil, and I'll show you why. So we've got our milk, we've got our water, we've got our vanilla and our salt, and so all by itself this would make an absolutely lovely custard or custard sauce. Now if you wanted this to be a custard, you would need to bake it in the oven in a water bath, but we're not looking for a real custard, we're looking for that custard flavor in a beautiful sauce. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and get this hot really quick because we need to get this done. Now, once this is, where is my, this will work. Okay, once this is a little bit hotter, we are going to need about half a cup of basil or more. How much basil do you want in there? And you want it packed. So, how much is this? Let me see. I would say that is a little better than 1/3 of a cup, so we're going to put a little bit more in there. Now if you're just using, whoa! And that's what happens when you're not paying attention. Okay. Huh. Okay, well, you know what? I am not even going to begin to explain why, but that did not curdle. So, lucky, lucky, lucky. Okay, so half a cup or thereabouts of fresh basil leaves, and that's going to be about half a cup. And we are just going to drop these into our hot milk. Now, we're going to let them steep for about half an hour. I know you guys don't have time to hang out with me for half an hour, but that's okay. Now we're going to put a lid on them, and we're just going to set those over here. And through the magic of television, ha ha ha. Okay, now this has been steeping for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and I was generous with the basil in here too. This is so necessary. If you don't let this steep with a lid on it, you're not going to get that intense basil flavor that we're looking for. So now that this has been steeping, we are going to just strain it. And this is important because we don't want the basil leaves in our custard. We want the flavor of the basil leaves, but not the basil leaves themselves. So we're going to get the basil leaves in here. Make sure that we get this all scraped out, because that's a lot of beautiful, good, healthy fat and flavor and beautifulness. And we're just going to set that back over there. Now you can use your hands or you can use whatever you want. Just make sure that this is strained. Now when you're picking your basil, you can pick just the leaves if you want, but the basil blooms are incredibly flavorful and the stems are very flavorful. So use it all in something like this where you're going to be straining it out. It makes perfect sense to me to use it all. So there we go. That is strained out. And just going to rinse my hands. Now we need to add this to our eggs slowly. So this is not terribly hot because it's been steeping for a while, but you don't want to take any chances on curdling your eggs. We don't want scrambled eggs. We want custard sauce. And so this is beautifully mixed in. That is lovely. You should smell this. I wish we could share the smell of this stuff over the internet, but so far no smell-o-vision. I saw a cartoon or something about that one time, and I thought that would be an amazing thing, although somebody would be cooking something that I don't like, and that likely wouldn't be good. Okay, now we have this beautiful custard sauce that is not done cooking yet, but we have it strained. We have our eggs tempered. We're just going to add these into the pot, and we need to turn this on low. And this is going to take a little while to cook. And I got to tell you, and one of these days I'm going to do a little bit of research on this and find out why this is the case. When you cook custard or an ice cream base, what you're supposed to do, okay, I'm going to put that on too, is you stir it constantly with a wooden spoon until it coats the back of a wooden spoon. Now, I'm using a wooden spatula because this keeps the bottom of the pan scraped properly, and it's wood, so it's going to work just as well. And you cook this down until it's like a pudding. And when you, okay, so you can see on this how it's just running off the end. And if I draw a line with my finger, it's just going to run down. It's not going to stick. And so this is not a sauce yet. It's not custard yet. And if it was in the oven, it would be just starting to cook. So this needs to cook down until it reaches that space where it is thick and custardy and wonderful and lovely. And when it does, this is what we are going to end up with. Now this is a batch that I did a little bit ago because I wanted it cooled, and I know how long this takes. So this has nicely set up. And so this is our beautiful, beautiful custard sauce. Now that I will finish cooking down in a little bit, but this is going to come in this bowl. Now when you're making this, I cooled this quickly in the freezer above the fridge. And so I've got little spots here that have frozen a little bit, which, considering this is almost the same as an ice cream base, that's not a big deal. So it will thaw and be beautiful and saucy and wonderful. And so this is just going to make a small batch of custard sauce. And that was my intent, because oftentimes we just want dessert for ourselves. And I don't know about you, but if there are seconds to go back for, there's a very real possibility that I'm going to do it, especially when it is something this delicious. So make sure that you leave your basil leaves steeping for at least half an hour. If you want to steep them longer than that to get a even more intense flavor, that's fine too. But once you get that done and you cook it down so that it coats the back of a spoon, and you end up with this beautiful basil custard sauce with the little frozen bits in it, you have something amazingly delicious to put over. What are you going to put it over? You can put it over anything you want, but strawberries would be a wonderful idea. You don't have to sweeten the strawberries. You don't have to leave them sit. Basil with strawberries is beautiful any time of day, but this is a beautiful way to sweeten it. And the only carbs that you're going to have is from the quarter of a cup of strawberries that you're going to have, because there are no countable carbs in here. We have eggs, maybe a third of a carb, a third of a gram of carbs, and we have cream that has no carbs, and we have allulose and vanilla, so, and a little bit of salt. So we're good. And oh my goodness, we're good. You guys want to try this. This is beautiful and light and delicate. It's not something that you're going to want to sit down and eat a bowl of, but it's something beautiful that you can freeze in ice cube trays if you want. And then when you need it, you've got it. But if you have some fresh strawberries, I don't know about raspberries. I've never tried basil sauce with raspberries. But right now is a really good example of why I do not make great big huge batches when I'm home by myself, because I'm telling you, I could make that into basil ice cream. It would be absolutely delicious. I might just do that. Put a little bit of strawberries on top. I don't know. But please play with your herbs. They don't always have to be in something savory. So we are almost at the bottom of the hour, and I want to thank you for taking time out of your day to hang out with me here. And I am here every Sunday morning, almost every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Mountain, and I am always so grateful when you choose to join me, whether you're watching live or you're watching it later on. Please know that keto is, in my opinion, the best way for you to regain your health or to continue to have good health. So do your research. Make sure that you have someone that can guide you. If you need a coach, you know where to find me. Okay, let's just... There we go. I'm bouncing all over the place. And if you don't think you need a coach, but you do want to learn about keto, watch the videos. So on my Facebook page, on my YouTube channel, there's never any charge. So do what you need to do to regain your health, whether that is losing some weight or reversing high blood pressure or type 2 diabetes. It's a very powerful tool. It's what our ancestors used for hundreds of thousands of years. So until we get to hang out next week, I hope all of you have an amazing week and do your very best to be your best version of you, and reach out and call someone that you haven't talked to for a while. It will make your life even richer, and it will theirs too. They need you as much as you need them. I will see you next Sunday. Let's make some lemon snow pudding next Sunday. Sound good? I think